friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Arloth and I are here today to talk to you about some really exciting books that we just recently read that we think you might really enjoy as well. So the very first one is called The Memory Collectors by Kim Neville. The Memory Collectors. And this is a fairly new book that just recently came out. And it's another one of those books that sort of has a little bit of a magical realism feel to it. If you're a fan of Alice Hoffman, like read the book Practical Magic, where it's set in present day and has contemporary characters and situations, but there's just a little bit of magic. This is sort of like that too. I love stories like that. So this is about a young woman named Eve who can actually feel the emotions that are left on objects, good or bad. So if she were to come in contact with, say, a beloved stuffed animal that was somebody's when they were growing up, she would feel those emotions on that stuffed animal. So the really good emotional ones she's able to sell for a living, and that's how she scrapes by. But some of the more super harder ones, like the ones that have the bigger emotions and some of the darker emotions, she tries to stay away from. This is also parallel to another character in the story whose name is Harriet. Now, Harriet is a little bit of a hoarder. She hoards objects because she too can feel from them. But she hoards so much of these that it's actually making her neighbors sick. And she's about to get evicted from her apartment because she has too many things and too many emotions that are just pouring out of there. So when Harriet and Eve meet, Harriet knows that Eve is just the sort of person that can help her with her dream, which is to make a museum of all these feelings and all these emotions. But Eve is a little bit hesitant to do that because she's got a little bit of a past, which has to do with her family and an object that had a really dark emotion tied to it, which has affected her and her younger sister for their whole lives. So this is a story about family, it's a story about memory, and it's a story really about trauma and moving on from it. It's about, the things that happen to us and how we can pick ourselves up and keep going, no matter what. And like I said, there's a little bit of magic to it too, which is really, really fun. This is a super great book. It's got a lot of emotion and a lot of heart to it, which I absolutely loved. And it was really fun learning about these characters, Eve and Harriet especially. And that is The Memory Collectors. It's got a pretty cool cover too. Now, this next book is a little bit ambitious, and it might not be for everyone, but if you want to try something different and you're interested in that, then I think you might really enjoy this. This is called My Old Home by Orville Schell. Now, the reason I say it's ambitious is because it's a hefty book. It's very big. And basically, this book takes place in a really about 40-year span in China. 1949 when Mao Zedong comes into power until 1989 with Tiananmen Square. These are both incidents, if you don't really know a lot about them, you will learn about them through this book. The main character is Li, who was going to school at the University of San Francisco in the 40s, but goes back to Beijing when Mao Zedong comes into power because he's lured in by this promise of a new China, of a new beginning for their country. So he goes back there with his wife, and he finds that things are not exactly as he expected them to be. The government is distrustful of him and his American education. It's distrustful of his wife, who is half American as well. And it's a struggle. It's a really hard time, even though he has gone back to China to be a teacher. And his son, Little Lee, has another really hard time as well, growing up in this environment and then leading up to, like I said, Tiananmen Square. So this book it's super fantastic. It's a beautiful, sweeping, epic story about China, about the Chinese people, about a lot of the events that shaped the culture and their history, starting from the late 1940s. And it's a really interesting book. We're heading right into June, but we still have another day left of May where, it's Asian American month. So this is a good month if you haven't, or a good time rather, if you haven't read anything by, that have to do with Asian experiences or Asian culture. This book is fantastic. It is not an Own Voices story, though. I will say that out front. It was not written by a Chinese person, but it is written by a person who is a historian and who has a very, very vast experience and knowledge about the culture. So if you're just interested in learning more about it, I learned so many things in this book, and it was absolutely fantastic. I really loved it and enjoyed it. And like I said, it's a little bit ambitious. It's very long. And some of the subject matter is a little bit heavy, but it's so worth it. Absolutely fantastic. And you'll learn a lot too, which is always fun. Well, that's what we have for you guys today. I hope everything sounds really interesting. If so, please feel free to check these books out from the Farmington Community Library, which you can do through our curbside service, or if you'd like, through just coming into the building and browsing as well. Come on in, we'd love to see you. Thanks so much and have a wonderful rest of the day.